Very excited to be here and be part of this. We're going to start with the classroom and what the classroom can look like in sort of a new vision of what math education could be for students with disabilities as we move towards inclusion in California. So the first thing that we need to think about is, what is the problem? The problem, often in terms of mathematics for students with disabilities, represented here by the dashboard, is seen as a problem of achievement. And in terms of achievement, we have really significant gaps for students with disabilities in mathematics across California. And so we might look for cognitive deficits, and a lot of research does that. In my work, I situate the problem somewhere differently. I'm wondering whether students with disabilities have access to challenging mathematics. And when I'm thinking about challenging mathematics, I'm thinking about the California Common Core State Standards. So these standards are extremely rigorous, yet more focused on core ideas. They have increased engagement in problem solving and discussion. So we're asking students with disabilities to be able to, oh, sorry. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. We're asking students with disabilities to engage more in discussion and problem solving, and we're going to need to engage those students in general education classrooms to make sure they have access to that. Because what we have found is that students with disabilities do not have access to standard-based mathematics to an equal extent in segregated special education classrooms. And there's even been research that showed that students with disabilities, when included, are sometimes offered less rigorous problem solving, problems are simplified for them. And so this access to challenge and to rigor and to problem solving and discussion is a pervasive problem in California schools. So what does the research say? There is a huge difference between the research on special education mathematics and general education mathematics. And if you look at my policy brief, I have a lot of citations in this area so you can explore this more deeply. Basically, special education research is focused on replication of existing findings. Those existing findings are typically about direct instruction. So much of that research has been about replication of those findings, leaving out research on inquiry mathematics, problem solving, discussion, core ideas. And so there's a whole body of research that we don't have right now about mathematics and students with disabilities. What I am going to bring to you is a different research base, which is UDL. So it's a different way to look at it. Instead of some kind of difference between direct instruction and inquiry-based instruction, it basically takes the strategic learning part of inquiry-based instruction and includes thinks about how we can include all kids within this. So let's move to the next slide. So universal design for learning is the idea that if we see classrooms as spaces where a wide range of kids can excel and thrive. So if you are blind, you can excel and thrive. If you have intellectual disabilities, it's a place you can be included meaningfully. If you have dyslexia, it's a place you can be included meaningfully. And so to design, thinking about these sort of range and designing from the edges. It emerged from a universal design, which was a movement in product design and architecture that was actually led by disabled architects. And it is grounded in sort of two kinds of science. So it has a very strong research base in, first, the learning sciences, so the science in how individuals learn and grow in complex fields. And in that way, the goal is developing expert strategic learners. The second scientific area is neuroscience. So one idea that really pervades UDL is learner variability. That's the idea that there's no normal brain and then everybody else's brain. All of our brains are different. All of our brains vary. So how do we use that scientific evidence? How do we design instruction around that? Instead of the one size fits all that is far more prevalent in our schools and in math instruction. So the one thing I wanted to say before we moved on in terms of UDL, there's a lot of what UDL is empathy. So it's designing around how the learning experience feels and thus how a kid can take in or not take it in. So we're going to jump right into the next slide. This is a quote from an individual, an African-American student with a learning disability growing up in New York City. He says in an interview, like math, I could be right in the front row getting all the information, but it doesn't click right away in your head. I mean, you're staring at it, but it's not there at that moment, while everyone else, it clicks to them real fast. After a while, you're just standing there on pause, just looking at the example, and it's not feeding it to your brain. And I want to do a second quote from another individual with dyslexia. There was the nightmare of the multiplication tables. It wasn't the concept of multiplying that I had trouble with. It was memorizing the tables and then having to retrieve them quickly. I was not actually doing math, I was doing rapid naming, which is a process that can create tremendous hurdles for dyslexic readers throughout their lives. Can we go to the next slide? So just those two very quick snippets help us sort of enter into this idea of what it's like in math classroom, in a one-size-fits-all math classroom for students with disabilities. One is that there's limited avenues for learning, so that there's something written on this board, this really old-fashioned board that I have this image of for you, and you're supposed to sit there and take in the mathematics. And I think we know that that doesn't really work, and it especially doesn't work for students who that modality doesn't work for. The focus is on speed and memorization, and that's particularly disabling for students who have issues with memory and who have issues with speed. So classrooms that are focused on that are going to naturally disable a wide variety of students with disabilities and without disabilities. The instruction that they're describing is about memorization, not about concepts, and that's additionally troublesome for kids. And then is the last one. And then finally, how important the emotional aspects of mathematics are. So one of the neuroscience principles that UDL is designed around is that engagement really matters. So let's go to the next slide where we talk about that. First is, we know that kids need to feel safe and comfortable learning in order to be able to learn. So how do we make that happen in the mathematics classroom? How do we make sure that they're fully engaged so that they can cognitively engage so that they can learn? So we need to develop safe classroom communities. We need to shift away from mathematical speed towards valuing mathematical thinking and persistence. In my research in inclusive classrooms, I found that teachers are able to do that, and students in interviews are able to tell me that freed them up to participate, knowing that it was okay to make a mistake and knowing it was okay to take a long time. We need to make sure mathematics classes are relevant. We need to make sure there's choice and agency for students in these classrooms. And then the second aspect of UDL is representation. Representation is, what do we take in, what modality is it in, how does that matter? So in mathematics, I'm going to argue there's two things we need to think about specifically. First is core ideas. All too often, mathematics instruction is kind of focused on the corollary ideas instead of the ideas that should be the focus, like the memorization of multiplication facts rather than what is multiplication, how does it work, and how does that connect to algebra? That's a core idea that matters along the continuum of math learning. So we need to focus everything around core ideas. We have to offer practice. We have to offer review that helps students consolidate these kinds of important mathematical ideas. And then secondly, representation of ideas need to be multimodal. This gives access to students who have different kinds of visual or hearing impairments. And it also offers access to kids who need different ways to think about mathematical ideas, such as number lines. And those representations always need to be connected purposefully in the math classroom. The last pillar of UDL is strategic action. And so this is how we think. This is really important in UDL because it underlies what we want to develop in our learners, which is strategic, purposeful, expert learners. So to be able to do that, we need to support their strategy development, sometimes in a more scaffolded way than we have done in the past. We need to offer routines, problem-solving routines, focused ways of discussion. Basically, we need to teach the skills you need to be a good math learner to all of our students, because everybody needs it. But we need to do that a little more actively so that we can make sure that kids who may have some difficulties with executive functioning can also engage in that kind of strategic thinking. So finally, I am so happy I have time to get to my policy recommendations, yay! Which is, what can we do in schools in general? So the first is that we really need to provide more professional development in California on the Common Core state standards and kids' connections to UDL, and focus on special educators who are often not given this kind of training in mathematics in their credential programs, and for administrators, so that everyone can see these connections and how UDL can help all of our kids be included, rather than using math as a sort of an excuse to exclude or to track, which happens a lot. We need to invest in tier 1 instruction using UDL as a design framework. A lot of places are working really hard in their tier 2, tier 3, and those things are important, but we need to invest in tier 1 so that the majority of kids can get there, can be educated in what I call in the essay least restrictive curriculum, which is the curriculum that is there for all kids to become like mathematical learners. We need to connect IEP goals to the California Common Core State Standards, particularly the SMPs. There's a lot of work going on in the state, at the county level, at the district level, with math coaches and other administrators who are working on trying to connect IEP goals more specifically to problem solving, discussion, and engagement and access in the math classroom. And then lastly, we need more research that is about students with disabilities in inclusive classrooms learning mathematics, rather than research that has those students in separate settings. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.